Hey guys, I'm David with Southern Style DIY, and today I'm going to show you how to add a ton of capacity to your tool storage wall by adding hanging metal pegboard. Check it out. Because the panels are going to be hinged from the ceiling up there, the first thing we need to work on is the connection between the panels and the hinge itself. And I'm going to be using a piece of 2x4 for that, so let's go ahead and start by milling down the 2x4. Now we've milled our 2x4s down to nice, good, clean, respectable pieces of wood. I'm gonna hold them up to the panels and mark for a rabbet and for final length. If you do make this for yourself, don't use a dado stack to cut the rabbet. Actually cut a chunk out of the corner. I'm gonna show you why here in just a minute. Now I need to go ahead and build the bracket that's going to mount to my overhead storage and connect to the hinge for the panels. I don't really want it to be 3/4 of an inch, which is what plywood would be, so I'm going to double that up and sandwich two pieces of plywood together to give a little bit of a beefier bond. I'm also going to make the width the same as each panel, and for the height, I just need to make it as deep as I want my deepest accessory to go. For me, that's going to be 6.5 inches. For you, it may be something a little bit different. So here's that little scrap that we kept when we cut the dado. This is actually sized so that it fits perfectly inside of these flanges on the back of the wall control panel, which allows us to put the rabbet on the other side and have this 2x4 just go around and join around the wall control panel itself. We just need to pre-drill some screws, put them in through the panel itself and into the wood, and we'll have a really strong joint on the top. This can be our primary. We'll have a couple of other additional pieces down below as well. But let's go ahead and get this installed so we can measure for how we're going to mount it to the ceiling. One of the biggest tips I ever received was to use relative measurements instead of using a tape measure whenever possible, especially when you're doing measurements that involve a number of different components. For example, for the wall control panels, I'm not mounting them to a wall, I'm mounting them to an overhead storage system. So I need to figure out how far from the front back to mount the cleat. I need to mount this piece to the ceiling in order to mount the offset from the ceiling or the overhead storage. So I can't just measure from here. I have to measure an offset, the cleat itself, the wall control panel, and a spacer at the bottom. So I could measure all those things, or I could simply just lay them out the way that I know they're going to be. So now I've got everything set up exactly how I want it to be on the ceiling, and just take a scrap piece of wood, put it up against the cleat right here, then mark it, and that's going to give me my exact offset that I need, and this will be much easier as a result. So I'm going to cut that piece, and then we'll put the cleats on the ceiling for the storage unit. Let's do it. Finally time to add the hinges, and I've already pre-drilled the mounts up on the ceiling, so we'll do those afterwards. I think it's gonna be a little bit easier to put the hinge onto the panel and put the whole thing on the ceiling. I like to use the opposite side for alignment to keep everything nice and square, and then a couple of drops of CA glue to keep everything together while I pre-drill and drive in those screws. Finally time to install the panels to the ceiling, and before I try to throw them up there, I clamp together a little rest up here that the front part of the panel is going to go onto while I mount it up here to the back. That should make things a lot easier, especially because I'm going to be doing this all by myself. Can't hold it and drive a screw. So let's get started. You may have noticed when I put that panel up right there, I put some CA glue on the hinge directly over my eyes where it could have squeezed out and gotten into my eyes. Don't do that. Wear safety glasses or sunglasses. Something. Just don't do that. Onto the other panel. I'm gonna add a spacer behind the middle and the bottom just to keep everything nice and tight and secure. After that, we just have to put a locking mechanism at the top and we're good to go. Now that the panels are up and hinged, we need to create a way to lock them in the upright position. I'm going to show you two different ways that we can actually lock those up there. One using a hinge and the other using a dowel. Now that the panels are up against the wall, there's only one thing left to do. Add some accessories and some tools. Let's get to it. Huge thanks to Wall Control for sending me everything that I needed in order to make this build. I'll have links down in the description below for everything that I used. They have a ton of other stuff available, so make sure you go check them out. Thanks, Wall Control. If you're working out of a small shop space, such as an apartment or small shed, or like me, a garage, it is critical to utilize wasted space like this for projects like shop organization. I'm thrilled with how these hinged wall control panels turned out. I effectively have a wall and a half's worth of highly organized tool storage space available to me at any time. If you're interested in building a similar or exact setup like I did, I'll have a link down in the description below to my detailed build article that includes links to everything I used, as well as a free set of plans. If you're interested in seeing how I built the French cleat wall, as well as a couple of other shop organization projects, I have a link right over here to the video where I explain some of those as well. I'm gonna see you right over there.